Alright, welcome to a draft brought to you by MTGSpeculation.com. In a Modern Masters draft here, some decent options here. Obviously, the best cards are Spite Bellows and Noble Hierarch. Sorry. Just gonna take the Hierarch because it's worth $10. It also allows me to go into the 5-color archetype really easily. But I would be happy to pick up Spite Bellows here if the Hierarch were in the pack. The Hierarch's actually probably even just the better card for a starting point. Green is a really nice place to be in this format. There's not as much synergy as some of the other colors. The tokens obviously are really good, but if you're in green, what I've found to be really successful is being multiple colors, not just stuck in the 2-color pair. Double Hierarch also is really good if I go into the green-blue Graft archetype. Okay, so in this pack we have Gorehorn Minotaurs. Cathodian's fine. If this were like 4th or 5th pick, I'd be happy with that. Cytoplast Ritkin is fantastic in the Graft archetype, like I was just talking about. Even just as a 4-mana 4/4, it's fantastic. Move a +1/+1 counter from target creature you control onto him. Makes combat math really difficult if you are in that archetype. Decent sideboard card here if that happens to wheel. Another Graft card that probably will wheel. Wayfarer's Vow probably won't come back. Just thinking about the cards that I can also fit into this. If I want to start looking and leaning in one direction, I think this is it. Either Gas Knight is really nice for the Affinity archetype, but I think Cytoplast is the way to go here. Okay, so Oblivion Ring is a reason to go into white. The nice thing is, with like a dual land and Noble Hierarch, I might be able to reliably cast it. Maybe I throw 1 planes in my deck. Rookie Ally, I don't really like. It's more of a tokens card. Doesn't have trample, so I never find this to be all that relevant. I mean, yeah, he can get pumped up, he can get big, but with all the Eldrazi spawn and things like that mucking up the board, other token strategies sometimes, and this Tapper for example, cards like this I just find to be overcosted even with Convoke. Otherwise, I mean, this is decent in the red-green sort of 5-color good stuff archetype, but Oblivion Ring is just so good. Remand is a consideration because it is in my colors if I want to be green-blue Graft, but I think Oblivion Ring is just enough better. That'll hedge a little bit here. Kozilek Predator, super happy to pick that up. Really nice black cards though. Grim Affliction has been a card that has really surprised me. When I first saw the set, I didn't think it was going to be particularly good, but it works in so many archetypes. The Graft archetype, the Bloodthirst archetype. Wither really isn't as much of a thing as you would think with how much Proliferate is floating around. But otherwise, I mean, here's a decent blue removal spell. Land Cycler, Tribal Flames if I end up in multiple colors, but Kozilek's Predator is just amazing. So Savage Twister. That's a big signal that the people to my right, at least these 2 players, probably aren't in the red-green ramp, good stuff type archetype. And I haven't seen a whole lot of stuff that's really leaning me towards sticking just to the green-blue, splashing for Oblivion Ring, Graft, and Proliferate type strategy. So, and this card is just absolutely insane. Just bonkers. Probably won't wheel this. Maybe I'll wheel a Plummet. Nice little sideboard card. No, other than that, I mean, Interflaming Igniter is a card that is overperformed for me, I feel like. Okay, so here we've got a bounce land. Necrogenesis is actually insane, at least from my experience. Scatter the Seeds means tokens might be open. But I don't really want, I mean, if I start going towards tokens, I don't really want Savage Twister. It's nice to have this type of thing, where you have a 4-power guy you're playing against like red white, you're able to blow up stuff like a bunch of Sky Hunter skirmishers and low toughness double strikers. But to me here, it's Evolving Wilds or the bounce land. Necrogenesis is a consideration, but I'm gonna take Evolving Wilds. Okay, Ghostly Changeling. It's a decent card. Fairy Mechanist, obviously, and Affinity is great. Tribal Flames, if I do end up in this multicolor type archetype. Waxman Baku, I'm not going in that direction. Graft card, Synergy, but not really. Civic Initiate's terrible. Double black, not what I'm trying to do. Any of this other stuff. So Tribal Flames, this means the domain's probably open. Yeah, Mecha Riders. Another card that I've actually found to be extremely good when you end up in this sort of 5-color good stuff deck, which I found myself in a ton in this format, and it's sometimes you feel like you just have a deck that's sort of full of random cards, no real direction, and then you just win drafts. It's just the power level that you can bring out is absolutely insane with this type of a deck. Dragon Soul Knight, if I was full 5-color, I'm not seeing any black yet though, or any reason to go black. This is a safe little 2-drop. Like I said, Sundering Vitae is a pretty insane sideboard card in this format, and considering this is my only graph creature, and I haven't seen any blue yet, I'm actually going to take the Vitae for the sideboard, and actually, the same exact pick presents itself again here, and actually the same exact common print run in terms of the cards that I'm interested in. Dragon Soul Knight, same argument, have one Sundering Vitae, so I kind of got the best of both worlds there. Alright, I imagine I'll be in blue. There's a very low chance that I main deck this. Bone Splinters, there's really, I mean, Kozilek's Predator, I mean, this is probably the highest upside card that I have here. Stoke Rebuttal, I'm just not going to run. I'm not going to run 5. Throw it on the sideboard for now. Soulbright Flamekin. It's a card that's actually overperformed for me. It looks terrible, but sometimes the trample's relevant. I'll take the Land Cycler, throw it in the sideboard for now. This type of card gets a lot better when you get the Vegetable Rebirth, and you can Land Cycle it away, and on turn 6 blow something up, get it back. Okay, so Plummet, oh man, Skyreach Manta. So we're wide open here. I'm at this point I can be very sure that like these 4 players aren't doing what I'm doing, and I've been cutting enough of this stuff that I'm starting to get the feeling, but Affinity's a little bit open, but I'm starting to get the feeling that I'm the only guy doing this type of thing, which means hopefully I can get some Rampant Growth, some Wayfarer's Baubles, and bounce lands in the middle of this pack. Okay, that is a card. This Skyreach Man will come back to, I'm almost positive. Considering I got this other one second to last, this one should definitely wheel. If I'm a little bit more of the ramp variety, Ulamog's Crusher is actually a consideration on the wheel, but Elish Norn is just good enough that I might be looking a little bit more like green, white, splash red. Yeah, and maybe I try to get some more Evolving Wilds and Rampant Growths to get the Mecha Riders and the Tribal Flames turned on a little bit more as well. This could also wheel. This card's actually been fairly decent for me. But yeah, Skyreach Manta, we'd love to see back. We really want to see these ramp effects now, though. Spite Bellows is great. Burst Lightning's great. I'm on 2 red cards right now. The one thing to consider is like I don't want to grab this here, because there is still the possibility. I mean, when you really look at it, there is a possibility that I'm just sort of in green-white good stuff, ramping to an Elish Norn, you know. But then that's the Skyreach Manta out, and it's looking a little bit weaker. Not a lot of synergy, and that would take him out. So yeah, we are kind of on the 5-color plan still. or at least 4 color. But I don't know that I want to take this early. The red-white dual land, but I mean Spite Bellows is just absurd, but my top end is starting to look a little bit weird if I do that. Huh. This is a hard one. I think I'm just going to go with the dual land here. It's hard to pass some of the stuff I had to pass there, but that's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. Alloy Mirror gives us a little bit more, like we can start to reach for our splash cards more with Alloy Mirror, but it doesn't, it doesn't turn on Tribal Flames, Mecha Riders, the actual domain cards. And for that reason, I don't really want to take Mecha Riders because I don't know how good these are going to be in my deck. This is for sure 3 or 3/3, which makes them good enough. Just a vanilla 3/3 is fine in this format. Don't really want this. It's got the Strider. Not really looking to be in blue. I think it's an Alloy Mirror here. The card's been really good. Okay. Plastcaster Frog. We didn't really see a lot of open blue. Also Nameless Inversion. What else could I look for here? If I'm looking at blue, when I'm red, white, green right now, I don't know if I want to splash this. Or am I more likely to be in black? I mean, I could just take the Sunlance. Sunlance is fine. Man, this is a hard pick. I don't want to go into blue for either of these. It's sort of... I think I want to stay away from splashing cards that are going to be really relevant to my strategy. Things like 3-drops for now. Ikari, Twilight Guardian, very good card. 5 mana 4/4. I don't have the Spirit or Arcane spells to turn it on right now, which is fine. It's still serviceable. It's double white though. I think I can afford Elish Norn at double white late in the game with things like Noble Hierarch and Alloy Mirror, but I don't want to have this on turn 5 and not be able to cast it, which seems fairly likely with what I'm doing right now. Decent green card, a couple good red cards. Double red is prohibitive. Wayfarer's Bauble just might be the way to go here. I'm not really in blue yet. I would love to be in blue though for the mana leak, but I just haven't seen enough of a reason to go yet. So take the Wayfarer's Bauble. I haven't seen, oh man. Okay, so here's a reason to be in blue. Holy crap. This pack, I mean, I would happily take 1, 2, 3, 4 of these cards at this spot. Even these sideboard cards are reasonable here, but I mean, this is just a Muldrifter, right? Yeah, man. It's a 6-pick Muldrifter? That seems just insane to me. And Aether Snipe. That's absurd. Okay, so Vapor Snag, Rot Farm. I'm not rampy enough yet to want to take Artisan of Kozilek. I think I'm going to have another... There's a lot of Skyrish Mantis going around. I think I'm going to have another one on the wheel. I don't really want to take Vapor Snag because, again, for the same reason, I don't want to have an island when I need it. Whereas the Muldrifter, he can come into play later. It has the same effect, really. But I think we go with the Rot Farm. Artisan is too... I've already got expensive stuff. I don't need another Wayfarer's Bauble. I prefer to see a rampant growth to that for sure. Raise the Arm is fine. Calling Days does nothing for me. Yeah, I should also keep note, these Stoic Rebuttals are important to keep an eye on, because those can really be backbreakers. Okay, so this is the Skyrish Manta that I want for sure. Okay, do I want a third over Helium Squirter? I can make 1, 2. There's potential to make a lot of things flyers. This might make the main deck. This might be a little bit all in. I don't know if I'm going to be playing the black. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Manta. Although I think that was a really close pick. Another Macca Riders. I think the Macca Riders there. Pretty happy to get that. Plaxcaster came back. So now blue's looking a little bit more on the table. Actually more so on the table than the red. I can get this ultra late. I already have a bounce land for it. The blue I'm going to have to work for a little bit more. Probably should have killed the Rapid Flames, now that I think about it. Telling Time's just not that exciting of a card. But yeah, right now, everything in my deck looks really expensive. But this can just, be a 4 mana, clear all the everything to, it's so flexible that it doesn't have to be a 6-drop. It can be a 5-drop, 4-drop. So I'm not too worried about that. I have decent removal, Sunlance, Oblivion Rain, Savage Twister. That's decent for now, especially being primarily green-white. Tribal Flames as well. We'll see if I end up running that. It's possible. It's really going to depend on how many fixers I get and how many relevant red cards I see in this last pack. But I really want to see a Rampant Growth. Even 2, because I would like to kill the Wayfarer's Bauble. Just because Rampant Growth is enough better, especially if you're base green, that there's no reason to run the Bauble if you have 2 ramps. And I already have the Noble Hierarch, which kind of ramps me, and I want to play that on turn 1 over something like a Wayfarer's Bauble. Butcher of Truth. Yeah, this card is straight up nasty, but it's 10 mana. Dispatch, something to keep an eye on. Again, no Rampant Growth. 2 cards I love here. Kozilek's Predator ramps me into my Elesh Norn, pumps up Savage Twister. But Selesnya Guildmage is insane. This card is just dirty. Especially considering the fact that I'm looking very green-white right now, and this synergizes insanely well with Elesh Norn. And I'm going to be able to reliably cast this on curve on turn 2. And without Rampant Growths, Noble Hierarch into something like that isn't half bad. So let's see. Yeah, I'm not interested in the 10 mana guy. Although if he gets played against me, he's just kind of a big game. Draw 4, even if he's countered. The card's insane. But I'm not going to be ramping to 10 mana, and I haven't seen many Rampant Growths. Some Wayfarer's Baubles have been floating around. It seems relatively open, so I'm not 100% sure if another Muldrifter. Well, we are getting there, that's for sure. We don't have a ton of early plays, but we have enough to get there. This really makes me want to see another Wayfarer's Bauble, because I really want to get to turn 5, because on turn 5 I start to just win. Even 3/3 or 4/4 Skyreach manas, if you ramp into them, are good enough if I can't quite get there with the fixing. But Muldrifter number 2, no question. My blue's starting to look pretty strong. This Tribal Flames might be taking a back seat. Some things I'd like to see, something like an Oblivion Ring, Arrest, would be fantastic in this deck. I would take a couple Arrests. Something like Repeal. I like Repeal in this type of deck. A lot of times you find yourself on turn 4, you're waiting on your 5 drops, and you can, just time walk them for a turn. They play their 3-drop, 4-drop. You send it back, cycle, and by the time you get into your 5 drops. So that's something to keep in mind. Another Plaxcaster Frog, another Alloy Mirror. This cranial plating I need to keep an eye on. Sundering of the Day, very likely to be boarded in. Plaxcaster Frog is great. I absolutely love the card. Protects my Skyreach Mantas. Can even pump them up. You play that. You get your Skyreach Manta out, give him a counter, protect him. Is very, very good. So what ramp effects do I have? 1, 2, 3. And I'm looking at a lot of 5 drops. I don't know that I'm going to have blue. 1, 2. Noble Hierarch, Wayfarer's Bauble gives me blue. Evolving Wild as well if I need it. That might just be enough to justify the Plaxcaster Frog. I think that's the route I'm going to take here. The second one is just great. Being able to reliably have that card can be a really big deal. Jesus Christ. Profane Command? Do I just ignore everything else and take this because I think I do. Man, that's insane. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to go with here. It kind of sucks to have to just pull that out. I don't even know if it's worth tickets, to be honest. But there's still a chance I end up being able to cast that. It's almost worth it. I mean, the card's absolutely insane. But again, it's a little bit spendy. The top end of my curve is set. I mean, 2 Muldrifters, 3 Skyreach Mantas, and ways to make these 4/4s and 5/5s. Alice Norton to close it out, Savage Twister to buy time. You know, some 3/3s to clog up the board in the mid game. Do it all removal on Oblivion Ring. Okay. Rootkin's the first one that I see. Sunlance gives me another removal spell that's sort of killing mid-rangey type threats, which is fine. I'm worried about this Affinity deck though, because it doesn't kill things like Rusted Relics, Mere Enforcers. Man, you know, it might just be wrong to take the Cytoplast. But I'm ramping for a reason, or at least trying to ramp. Not really seeing the cards to do so. But Sunlance, if Sunlance were 2 mana and it were instant speed, I would be super happy to take it there. But as it stands, I'm just... the card's obviously really good, but... Tumble Magnet, Sundering of Vitae. This is interesting. Can't really support that. The Agony Warp, even though this card's absolutely bonkers. Very easy to set up 2-for-1s. Tumble Magnet, I don't really have any Proliferate, so it just kind of stalls, which is sort of what my deck needs. Sundering Vitae is insanely strong against the Affinity deck, but it's likely to wheel. That one will come back to me, yeah. I'll see that pack back with 3 cards in it. Okay, this is absolutely huge. Another Skyreach Manta. Man, I must be the only person in this archetype, which I like to see. But blue-white, this is probably the ceiling for me. I know that there are players out there that like to run up to 6 bounce lands. I'm not one of those players. But this fixes for my blue. Very happy to take that here. Again, one of the problems I'm going to face is that I'm relying on bounce lands and evolving wilds. Well, bounce lands, things like Noble Hierarch and Alloy Mirror to fix, which is great for Skyreach Manta and bad for Maka Riders and Tribal Flames. Although those cards will still be fine. Necrogenesis is great. This is a fantastic sideboard card for me. And I can't reliably cast the black. Well, I can kind of, but I'd rather just take a really strong sideboard card here. My deck is pretty much set. I'm very, very happy with where we're at. This is the type of deck that I can expect a 3-0 out of if I run reasonably well and don't get run over in the early turns. Again, a Rampant Growth would have just been absolutely nuts in this deck, but just haven't really seen it. I really don't like running 2 Wayfarer's Baubles. Just because it really is. I mean, you draw this on like turn 4 or 5. Rampant Growth you can pop off for 2, and that extra mana to me really, really matters. Narcolepsy actually might get main decked, and I might just cut the Tribal Flames. I'm probably not going to run that Bauble. I might be correct too, but I'm looking at Evolving Wilds, Noble Hierarch, Wayfarer's Bauble. That's really hard to say. and 3 bounce lands here. Okay, so it looks like the red-black archetype was a little bit open. This is one of the key cards for that. Apostle's Blessing, it's important to note, because that can be a little bit of a blowout. I think what beats me here is things like this. A really strong red-black deck that gets out underneath my bigger stuff, removes a Maca Riders or a Plaxcaster Frog, whatever I play on early turns. Again, nice little sideboard card there. Okay, so again, I would love to have a Rampant Growth, but I have a Bobble and a Noble Hierarch, which is reasonable and should be enough to fix for the Savage Twister, the Tribal Flames, the 2 Plaxcaster Frogs, and the Muldrifters. Yeah, there's red-black is a little bit open. Just sort of the equipment archetypes in general, it looks like. Bloodshot Trainee is very, very good if he finds the right home. But yeah, basically what I'm hoping to do is have enough blue that I can reasonably expect to see Maca Riders at a 3/3 consistently. And what I do is I clog the board on turn 3. Alright. I like to sort of look at my setup like this, so I can see where if a card like Raise the Alarm is necessary. I'm not really obviously, yeah, there's some synergy with Selesnya and Elesh Norn, but that's not really my game plan. So that's one that I'm sort of looking at putting in the sideboard. And if I say cards I'm for sure running, Sunlance, Tumble Magnet can go in that pile as well. I'm going to run Wayfarer's Bobble. And then I would say the 2 that, those are the real debatable cards here. Because if I'm looking at red, I have 1 bounce land, an Alloy Mirror. And that's basically it. I think I can just cut the Raise Alarm here, or Raise the Alarm. I'm looking at 17 and 7. I only need to make 1 cut. And it's possible that I run both of these. Yeah, obviously the problem being it's hard to reliably cast both, but I'm looking at Narcolepsy, and I have the Noble Hierarch, I have a bounce land, Evolving Wilds, Alloy Mirror, and a Wayfarer's Bobble. I think my fixing is just good enough that I can go something like this and cut an actual creature here. And I think if I'm going to cut a creature, I want it to be towards the top end. These Muldrifters I like a little bit more than the Skyreach Mantas, just because these are going to draw me into gas, draw me into my land drops, so I can get towards the Elesh Norn. Because this card, if it resolves, just straight up ends the game, draw me into my Savage Twister to end the game, those types of things. And the one problem with that strategy is, if I cut a Skyreach Manta, I'm sort of hurting my God tier draws, where I go Noble Hierarch into land drop Alloy Mirror, into land drop Skyreach Manta, and I have a 5/5 Skyreach Manta on turn 3. I'm hurting my beatdown plan. It's a lot worse if that's a Muldrifter. Obviously a 5/5. Obviously a 2/2 draw 2/2 flyer and a draw 2 on turn 3 is pretty stellar. I actually think, I think that the Tumble Magnet has some redundancy with my 3 drops, in that what it's going to do is clog the board and stall for time. And my 4 drops do the same exact thing. So I think I can reliably expect to have the ground locked up early and the flyers locked up late, and with some removal to deal with flyers that I'm not ready for. So I think the Tumble Magnet is actually going to be the card that goes here. Let's combine, sort by color, see what we're looking at here. So 2 red cards, Evolving Wilds, Boros Garrison. So I really need to have green. That's going to be my main consideration here with this, is I want to be looking at, okay, so we're looking at Alright, so let's look at this here. This is what they want me to go. 6 forests, that worries me a little bit. 1 mountain, splashing for these 2 cards. I actually don't know that that's necessary. Well, it is, just because I need to be able to fetch it out. 2 islands seems about right. This is a little bit tricky. I mean, it actually turned out that my white isn't a huge color for me. So this might actually be good. I might just run out with this. It just really hurts me if I don't see a forest early and I have the Noble Hierarch. Like, it's just soul crushing to see like Plains Island, 4 cards, one of them's Noble Hierarch, and you're on the play. Like, that is absolutely soul crushing. But Evolving Wilds can fetch for that. So I'm looking at Evolving Wilds to be a forest when I need it, and then, probably a Plains or an island for whatever I need. I think it's going to be turning into a forest or an island the majority of the time, just because I'm not going to need access to these white cards particularly early. So yeah, we're going to run out with this. Thanks, guys.